On today's podcast, I had Ben Breier on. Ben is a social media consultant to many YouTubers and content creators in the finance space. Essentially, he helps them create products and services for their content and for their audience. And it's really cool to see what he's doing at just 25 years old. He is making over $600,000 a year doing this. And for me, it was cool to hear because a lot of people probably watching my show want to be the person who's on the camera, and they think that that's the way. They have to be the content creator plus, create the business for that. But it's not actually the case. If you're pretty good at business and you've got ideas and you're organized and you're a good salesperson, you can go and help other people who have influence do just that. So I think it's a great way to look at the behind the scenes of the people who are making this happen. Along with that, I also give him some advice on how he can grow his business. We talk a lot about sales training, high ticket sales, and a whole bunch of other things. So I think you guys are going to really enjoy this episode. Now, let's jump into it.
Welcome to the Ryan Pineda Show, where our mission is to invest,
I only expect to make money in things that I understand.
innovate,
It's about believing in the future and thinking that the future will be better than the past.
and inspire.
I am much more likely to hit my goal just due to putting it out there.
You now rocking with the best.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Ryan Pineda Show. Today, I have got a social media consultant, and not a consultant on how to grow your social media following. He's actually on the other side of the coin where he's helping guys who already have a following start to monetize it better. I've got none other than Ben Breier. What's up, man?
How's it going, Ryan? Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, man. So you're a young dude. How old are you?
Just turned 25 a few months ago.
25. And you were telling me before this that, just 2 years ago, you were kind of just getting out of college, starting a career, and now all of a sudden you are consulting for some of the bigger creators in the finance space, like my buddy Rob from the Raw Built channel. Who else you got?
Used to work for Financial Education, Jeremy. That's how everything started. Traveling Trader, Z.
I had Z on the show.
Investment Joy, another big guy out there.
Also had him on the show.
And a few others. There's about 8 people total.
8 people total. You're working for them, helping them build, their education platforms?
Yeah, so, it depends on what they need, right? But a lot of these guys, whenever we first talk to them, they don't have a product, right? Like they don't have, they're not monetizing in any way other than ad revenue. And, I remember the adpocalypse and everything like that. And so for a while, a lot of these guys are just making money from ad revenue and sponsorships. And so we come and say, hey, we can build you something.
Yeah, every time I see these creators and they do that, I'm like, what are you doing? A great example of this was actually my buddy Graham Stephan, and Graham has obviously made a ton of money from sponsors and AdSense. But I go, Graham, dude, you want to start making like the real big bucks? Like, let's build a business.
Right.
And sure enough, after, years of kind of like telling him that message, him and I actually partnered up on a business together called Creator Properties. And so, we've got a real estate fund together. And now, he's going to make some really big bucks.
No, that's awesome. I actually saw the ad on Instagram, and it's cool you say that because Graham, it's kind of Jeremy, Graham, Andre, yourself. Those were the guys that were like, man, like it'd be that. Those are the people you want to work with, right? Start something. So it's cool to see Graham, partnering with yourself, and I'm sure it's going to be a huge success. But yeah, I think it's critical for people to have multiple streams of income, like anything, right? Diversification, and so that's what we try and get them to do.
And one thing I want to say too, before we jump into your story and how you did this, is if you're listening to this, right? I get a lot of people listening who already have businesses, right? And so they're trying to figure out, how do I grow my social media following so I can get more people in my business? That's, a good part of my audience. That's great. I think that was the path I took. I started as a business person first, then started creating content, and it's helped my businesses explode. But there is this other side of the coin where there are many people like yourself, Ben, who don't want to be content creators. You were just telling me, you're like, yeah, this is the first time I've ever been on a podcast like this. And I'm like, yeah, there's a ton of people in the background of all of these guys' businesses that are making things run. They're making it go smooth. In fact, I have them in all my businesses. You don't see all these people. Like, you came in today and, you saw one of our offices, and it's like, yeah, there's a lot of people that make this machine go.
Yeah.
Right? And so if you are thinking, yeah, social media is not my thing, but I do have good business ideas and other things, what you should be doing is being a guy like Ben and thinking, okay, what creators and people with influence could utilize my talents?
Right.
How could I potentially partner with them and bring them value to what they're already doing? Because what I realized was, and this is exactly what I did with Graham, by the way. You know, what I realized was a guy like Graham does not want to run businesses full time, right? He just wants to make content. That's what he loves doing. That's his bread and butter. And there are so many guys like that, which I'm sure you'll touch on, where they just want to make their videos. They just want to make their content. They don't want to deal with day-to-day business.
Yep, exactly. And it takes forever. You know, it's like you said, I don't have a following, you know, no one knows who I am. And to be honest, like, unless you're committed and you really like grind it out, like it does take a very long time to build that following. So for me, I'm like, hey, you know, they did it. So let's just go in, let's be there, you know, hands and feet and try and, you know, create something from that.
Yeah, no, 100%. So let's talk a little bit about your journey and how you got to this point, man. So, I mean, you're already pretty young. Like,
Yeah.
what'd you grow up wanting to do? It wasn't being a creator consultant.
No, well, originally it was NFL, you know, like any kid's, you know, dream, or my friends was like, okay, I want to be an NFL. Like sports were my whole life, you know, pre-K through senior year of high school.
Okay.
I wanted to go and
What'd you play?
Running back
Nice.
in football. So football, track, and basketball, and I loved it. You know, the skills you learn, relationships, all of that. I mean, it really, I think, you know, shaped me. But obviously, I'm not doing that anymore, right? But that's what I originally wanted to do. I wanted to go play at Baylor, but I got injured, and so that kind of threw that out of the the water.
Right. Yeah, man. You weren't. No, you're too young. I was gonna say, were you there when RG3 was there?
It was it was like 2 years. I missed them by like 2 years, but I watched it on TV, and it was funny because my roommate, that game against, you know, TCU or whatever, he said if Baylor wins, he's going to go to Baylor. And I basically was like, well, wherever you're going, I'm going to go as well. So that game with RG3 and the comeback against TCU, the crazy, you know, 60-plus point game kind of dictated where I went to college.
Yeah, dude. That guy was so good in college. It was crazy. Sucks to see, like, you know, his career kind of stalled out. But, man, football's a tough sport, dude.
It's hard. And for me, you know, in college, like I was thinking of like, okay, like, you know, maybe walking on and doing all that, but just the commitment you have to do. I was like, okay, I want to try and have a life. Right. And so I was like, okay, well, what am I passionate about? Finance. You know, for me and how I actually became passionate about finance was, you know, my parents had a 529 college savings account. And as a kid, I was like, I don't even know what that means, like 529. And they're like, yeah, you know, when you're born, like we started this, you know, fund for you. And so for me, I was like, wow, like I didn't do anything to deserve that, right? Like it was just there. Like I want to be able to learn finance and investing. So then when I get to an age where I have children, I can do that same thing. So I was like, okay, I want to go, you know, I want to learn finance, you know, and whenever people say that and they go to college, the big dreamy job is investment banking. But I soon learned out, okay, you got to be quite the stud and put in a lot of time to get there. So that's kind of how my passion of finance started. But then it was like, okay, like where do I actually go? Because there's tons of paths that people can make. And I think that's one of the challenging things is, you know, that I was faced with, and probably a lot of the viewers, is like, how do you pinpoint, you know, where to go once you have a niche like finance? Yeah.
So it's funny, man, because I had an economics degree. Well, I have an economics degree. Never really used it. But, you know, when I got into college, I remember meeting business guys like you, right? Very passionate about finance and business and getting into that world. Whereas I was just going because I wanted to play baseball and I didn't really have a choice. It's like, I'm pretty good at this, whatever. I didn't really care. But I just don't really remember people in high school being like so into finance or money. Like, at least not my friends. Like, I don't know. Maybe we were different, but I was just like into sports and hanging out and having fun. But the more I've been on YouTube and talking to people, and even guys like Graham, who've been talking about, where it's like, man, like these guys have had passion for like numbers and crunching and saving and investing since they were really young. I'm just like, dude, it's just kind of crazy.
Yeah, no, it's wild. And so, you know, I just have that kind of pull in me, but also it was like, there was all the top kind of jobs that everyone kind of in college is pushed towards if you're in finance, like consulting, right? The consulting, the investment banking stuff. And I wanted to pursue all that because that was like what everyone, it felt like should pursue, but I didn't make any of those. And so real quick, I was like, okay, wait, maybe this isn't the path for me. Like maybe I'm not good enough, to go and get into those top kind of like programs like right after college. And so I was kind of fighting like, well, is this finance degree going to actually do, anything for me? Am I going to actually have a job after college? And luckily I was able to just get a basic analyst position. But I always was like, okay, I want, more. Like, how can I really go on, beyond this scope? So
what ended up happening? How long were you at Fidelity for? How did all that play out?
Yeah, so right after college, went to Fidelity. Was just an analyst. It sounds pretty cool, but I mean, I was just literally, cranking out Excel sheets every day. There's nothing really special to it. Very solid company. Loved the culture there, but I was making like $60,000, which is great. But I mean, that is kind of the average, for people coming out of school. And for me, I was like, okay, I want to be able to make it big, in this world and stuff like that. And so I worked for Fidelity for about a year and a half, 2 years. While I was at Fidelity, I actually drove Uber, because I was like, okay, I love investing. I was following Jeremy, Graham, all these guys on how to invest. So I felt like I knew how to invest, but I wasn't making enough, and so I was like, okay, I'm gonna go and drive Uber. So I drove Uber every Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday for 3 months, during 2020.
Yeah. So, I mean, how much were you making at that time as an analyst and then driving Uber and all that?
Well, analyst was, only like $60K, maybe like, $7K in bonus at the end of the year. And obviously they have tons of like benefits, but it was really, it was about like 70,000. And then for Uber, I mean, I was making maybe like $200, a weekend, $300. And for me, I was like, holy cow, like $300 a weekend, like, let's go, like that was a big deal for me. Because I was just like, I just got to funnel back to the stock market, and eventually like something will get going and happen, which kind of did, where I stumbled across Jeremy's kind of coaching program. And that's when I kind of took a leap of faith and was like, I'm going to join this. And that kind of changed my life.
You joined Jeremy's program as a student.
As a student. Exactly. As a student, passionate about investing. Yes, I was in the corporate finance world, but they don't really teach you how to research a company, how to diversify your portfolio, like how many positions you should have in your stock account. And Jeremy was always talking about that on his YouTube video. And he launched a coaching program, and he got me into it. And I paid. And at the time, that was the most I spent on anything in my life. I took out a 0% interest credit card because I couldn't afford it, and joined. And it was amazing. It was absolutely amazing. I had a coach that I worked with to really understand like how to invest. And then from there, certain opportunities, presented themselves to actually be a part of his team. And that's when kind of I was, awakened to, wow, like there's a whole different path of jobs and everything that you can do out there rather than your typical go to college or work a corporate job, work there for, 30 years and retire.
Yeah. So at what point, I mean, you're a student, you're learning to invest yourself. At what point did you start working for Jeremy?
So about like 2 months after I joined his group. So about after 2 months I joined, there was a position to be a moderator. And this is like moderating his Discord. He had a free Discord with like 70,000 people in it. And I'm a gamer, so I understand the Discord platform well. So I was like, of course. Like, I always was watching this guy on YouTube. I was like, any chance that I could be part of his team, like I'd love that. So I became a moderator. After about a month of just moderating, there was an opportunity to be a sales development rep. I had no clue what that meant, but I was like, hey, it gets me closer to, Jeremy, these guys that are making the big bucks. And, from them, I always had your network is your net worth, ingrained in me. So I was like, okay, let me do that. And so I started booking calls for him. And so, talking to people in the group and getting them to book calls with the sales reps, right, that Jeremy had. And that was the first time in my life where I was actually able to control a little bit of my income, because the more output I had, the more I made, because I made like $100 an appointment. So I just did that nonstop till like 1 a.m. 7 days a week.
Just booking appointments.
And I made like, $1,200 the first 2 weeks. But to me, like, that was insane. I was like, holy cow. Like, I booked 120 appointments, and I made that, which is like, that would have taken me forever doing Uber, So
Right.
that's where everything opened up.
So you start off as a sales guy, kind of sounds like a junior rep.
Yep.
What happens from there?
So because of all the appointments, I was like, okay, what's next? It was super fun, but in life, you're always like, okay, what's next? What's next? And so what's next was actually be a sales rep. And so I was just talking to the sales manager at the time, like, hey, like, I'll be your best rep. Like, just give me a chance. Like, I've paid, tons of money to be here. I understand the product. I believe in Jeremy. I believe in everything that's going on. I just want to take phone calls, right? Because that's when you start earning an actual commission through high ticket sales. Mm-hmm. And again, I knew nothing about high ticket sales and being a closer or a sales rep. I just wanted to do that. And so eventually I got that opportunity. And as soon as that opportunity, opened up, I opened up my calendar. I was still working at Fidelity at the time, and I just took as many calls as I could. So I would work at Fidelity from like 7:30 to like 3, and then from 3 to 1 a.m., I would just open up my calendar and take sales calls for Jeremy to have people join the program that I joined.
So you were signing up people at friggin' midnight?
Yeah. Well, it's cool because Jeremy, Graham, like all these guys have audiences all over the world. Mm-hmm. So a lot of my, closed deals were people from overseas.
I get it.
Who were booking these calls. So
that makes sense.
It was nuts.
Yeah, I think in the finance space for stocks and stuff, it's definitely very international. Real estate, we get people who are like, will this work wherever? And I'm like, yeah, the philosophies will work, but
right,
it's tough.
Yeah, it's hard. And I think, one thing that I would kind of share with everyone watching this that's young and hungry, but they don't really know what to do or what direction, I would probably say, like, look into high ticket sales of some kind. Like, this isn't going door to door, and cold calling people. It's working for someone and joining their sales team.
Yeah. So you end up moving to high ticket sales.
Yeah, high ticket sales. For Jeremy, it was nuts. This was in like 2020, so the market was booming. Everyone was making money in the stock market. Like I said, I probably took like 8 calls a day, 7 days a week. I closed about $1.4 million for Jeremy in the span of about 6 months. Uh-huh. And that was life-changing money. I got 15% commission.
Yeah, you made a killing.
So I was like, I didn't even know you could do that. And so
like, that was triple my Fidelity.
Exactly. And I was doing that while at Fidelity. I'm like, this is insane. I'm earning, 4x what I'm making at Fidelity, just taking calls with people. Like, what? This is holding me back. So I worked at Fidelity during that time. And then eventually I said, you know what, like, I'm just going to go for this. Like, this is my chance now that I can, dictate my income, because you can't do that at a corporate job. You're in the ladder, you're in the rat race. And so I quit. I just did sales. And then from there, I was like, all right, like, who else is doing this, right? What other YouTubers can we go and potentially replicate this for? And then that's how I started getting into consulting, is by building those teams for other people.
So were you still doing high ticket sales for Jeremy, or how was it all playing out?
Yeah, so I was doing the high ticket sales, kept on doing that. And then while I was doing that, then I got opportunities to then work for different YouTubers, through different connections and networking, and everything like that. And so I got to go. And so then, the next person was a real estate lady out of Florida. And so I actually got to be the sales manager. So I was taking some calls, but not as many as Jeremy. So I was taking the calls at Jeremy. I became the sales manager for this lady selling a real estate package. So then I was like, okay, now I'm working with 2 people. And then from there, after those went well, then I said, okay, let's find another person who was in crypto. And so then I went into the crypto space. And then that is when I actually became a profit partner, where I negotiated, my contract and laid out what I was going to actually do. So I went from sales rep to sales manager to then being a partner and saying, hey, I can run, all of this for you.
If you're listening to this podcast, then my guess is you're interested in real estate investing. Some of you are just starting out, while others are trying to scale their business to the next level. But the problem is, with so much information out there, most people don't know which program or coach to trust. Well, I'm a bit biased, but I believe my company, Future Flipper, can help you get to the next level. We've coached thousands of students from all over the world on how to build their real estate investing business. It doesn't matter whether you want to flip, wholesale, or buy rentals. Our coaching program has everything you need to become a great investor. There are many things that we include with coaching, but to give you a few examples, you're going to get an accountability coach. These are people that have had success in their own business, and they want to make sure that you achieve success in yours. We also have all of our documents, our systems, and processes that I've used to buy hundreds of homes. You can copy and paste them directly into your own business. And we have events where you get to meet me, top-level guest speakers, and other students who are crushing it. My students do deals with each other, and I personally do deals with them too. In fact, at a recent event, I just honored over 20 people in our program that made over $1 million in the last year. So if you want to grow your real estate business, head over to futureflipper.com and apply for a call with our team. The call is completely free, and they can help point you in the right direction whether you work with us or not. So go to futureflipper.com and book your call today. For the last year, the real estate market has been on absolute fire. Prices are at all-time highs, interest rates are at all-time lows, and there is more money in the economy than ever. But with so much competition, many investors are sitting on cash, struggling to find great deals. If this sounds like you, then you need to invest with Pineda Capital. With my network and social media following, we get access to the best real estate deals all over the country. And if you're an accredited investor, you can invest with me on those deals. In fact, last year we purchased a 334-unit apartment complex in Georgia for almost $20 million. We expect it to be worth well over $30 million when it's all said and done. Our goal with each deal is to build in so much equity from the beginning that we're able to refinance our investors' cash out and own the properties together with little to no money into the deal. And the best part is, you don't have to do anything. Our team will find the deals, handle the renovations, get them leased, and eventually refinanced or sold. All you have to do is provide the capital. So if you want exclusive access to our deals before they hit the public, go to PinedaCapital.com to schedule a call. We can put your money to work today to start getting you great returns. So go to PinedaCapital.com now to get access to our deals. So with these guys that you've been seeking out, you said you got 8 clients now.
Yeah.
You know, how many of them were like Jeremy where they already had their own program?
Yeah, so probably half. So half the people, they had their program, whether it was like a course, right? Like Rob, for example. Rob had his, course, right? So he had no sales team. It was just a course.
Right.
And so then, we came in and we built the higher ticket sales team. So that's what we did. Other people just have like a low ticket, $29 a month, like, Discord group or something.
You don't need a sales team for that.
Exactly. So then we would come in and we'd pitch the high ticket idea. And then that's what we would do. And then those are the best, right? Because it's like, there is something there. There's already a product. Like, let's just scale it up. Let's increase the price. Let's add coaches, add resources, increase the marketing efforts, and then, hopefully blow it up.
So I'm curious, as you've done that, what has been the response from many of the creators that you weren't able to close? Why didn't they do it?
Well, it's scary. It's kind of risky. Like they're changing their business model, and these people, like, we need to make sure that we honor their brand and their image, right? And so some people, don't want to have any change, right? They have their system. They want to keep going. They might just be working by themselves, right? But they don't really want to change their business model, which is great. Other people, they might already have a team, and so they don't want to kind of like bring on another team. So there's different reasons, why different creators don't want to do it. And it's been, very eye-opening to learn those reasons to try and adapt like our business model, around that.
One thing I think about is a lot of these guys are very conscious of their brand.
Right.
And so, they're cool doing a $29, monthly thing. But the moment you start talking about a high ticket, right? Like, for me, I define high ticket as anything, above 10 grand.
Yeah.
Most of our high ticket stuff is 20 to 30 grand.
Yeah.
So, for me, I don't care. Like, I'm used to it. My customers, my people, everyone's used to it. They're like, that's just is what it is. Like, you want to go invest in a fund, you want to go buy an e-com store, you want to go get, top level coaching, you want to go get, you know, the highest level of CPA work, like it's going to cost money.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
But I know for talking to a lot of my buddies in the creator space, they don't want to do anything with that because they feel like their audience would turn on them.
And do you think, you know, and I'm interested to hear, so it's like, obviously you're doing this thing with Graham now, right? So, you know, if you were, what would you say to those people, right? Creators that were like Graham or whoever, and you're like, hey, because you do it yourself, right? So do you think everyone should do it, or what are your thoughts?
Yeah. So I think I'm in a unique position where I'm a creator and also a business guy.
Yeah.
And so I know both worlds extremely well. And, yeah, I mean, obviously I advocate for it. I'm like, look, dude, you know, if you're going to put your time and energy into it, like make it worthwhile. And, you know, I've told Graham that before with his coaching. I don't know if he still has it, but he used to have a program that was like $200 a month or something for like 2 Zooms. And I was like, why are you only charging $200 a month? Like, that's insane. Like, it's not even worth your time,
Right.
you know, for what you're doing. And I think there's 2 elements to it. One is he just simply enjoys it. But 2 is false belief that people won't pay more. There's a lot of creators, and I'm not talking about Graham specifically, but like there's a lot of guys who just don't believe their people would pay that much for something.
And I think, and you know, the current market, right? We've seen what's happened with crypto, with stocks, you know, fear in real estate. And what we found is like currently it's even harder to try and convince someone to change their model and launch high ticket when the market is this volatile. And that's often what we hear is, hey, like, don't you think, you know, we should wait, you know, for the market to go up? People are not going to buy. And, you know, I have my, you know, arguments, you know, to that. So how much do you think the market plays a role in whether or not people are going to buy high ticket, you know, products?
Yeah. So, you know, I think this actually didn't occur to me until Jeremy brought it up to me. When he was on the show, he was basically like, yeah, you know, the market sucks, dude. Selling stock trading courses is very hard. And I was like, yeah, I guess that does make sense, huh? Like everybody's willing to buy a stock trading course or a crypto course when that's on fire. But, you know, when it's down that day, they're like, this ain't for me, right? They're very much day to day.
Right.
But I don't think real estate's like that. I mean, people understand real estate's a long haul game, right? Like, yeah, we can flip houses and all that. But for most people buying, they're like, yeah, you know, it's for the long haul. Real estate's always going to win. So whether I learn now and whatever, like it's going to be great. So we don't really struggle with that problem. Also, too, you don't look at real estate day to day and it has a price.
Yep.
You know, whereas when you lose, you know, 50% of your stock portfolio,
you're freaking out.
Yeah, you're freaking out. Real estate doesn't work like that.
Right.
So I think we're kind of shielded from that. But then again, you know, I haven't been selling stuff when real estate's in a decline, you know, so I haven't had to experience that like these other guys. But what I can say is just for me personally, and my personal way of investing is the same way we teach all of our students is you can make money in any market, right? Like it doesn't matter. And so if I know real estate's declining and demand's going down, doesn't mean I just stop buying real estate. It just means I change how I do business.
Right. Yeah. And so we have to, you know, adapt to that, whether it's like our own personal, you know, investing or our business model and how we present, you know, to these clients. Because before, you know, how we would just cold email people, no presentation, like nothing. We would literally just type an email out, cold email, hopefully get on the call and hopefully something comes to it. But now it's like, okay, like I see how fast things can come and things can go. And so what I'm trying to do is build this into a sustainable, legit kind of company, right? And really kind of build out like a consulting wing and everything, you know, like that. And now we have like PDFs and pamphlets and projections, and we'll actually do an analysis of someone. But before we had none of that. So we're trying to improve because it's getting harder to, you know, sign people with the current market.
Right. So Tell me about the people who don't have any kind of product, period. Like, how hard is it to build that out?
Hard. I mean, there's nothing there. And so a lot of it's trying to figure out what are we going to build. Luckily, everything's in finance. And so that's, again, like my passion and kind of background. So we'll build out the communities and everything like that. But it takes time. And so it might take like 1 to 3 months, depending on how committed the creator is to actually like build something like this. And so it's been, we've had times where it took us like 3 months to actually build something.
Right.
The creator wanted to be completely out of it, no marketing, like nothing, and it failed, and we didn't make anything. And so again, like we work on a profit share. So for 3 months we didn't make anything, and then it kind of ended, and we were like, well, this didn't really go out. We're just gonna kind of, part ways. So it's time.
So are you guys just relying on the creators' organic following for traffic? Or are you guys running ads too?
Yeah. So at the start, it is all YouTube, and that's the most organic, the best type of leads, everything like that. But as you know, like as you kind of filter through those people, you need to make sure that you have marketing with emails, right? You have to have a clean email marketing, funnel. Instagram, right? Making sure you build up your Instagram following and marketing on that. And then eventually ads, right? So like Rob, he has started to run ads, but for a lot of these people, we're not at the ad generation, part yet.
Yeah, they're getting enough traffic organically for now, but
Right.
eventually at scale, you got to start doing paid traffic.
Yep, because as soon as the calendars are empty, I mean, no one's making anything.
Yep. So, yeah, that's interesting to see. Just kind of the different perspectives of these creators and all that stuff. What's interesting to me is like, I first saw this idea with Mr. Beast. I forget his guy's name. Do you know?
Chris? The guy that runs it with him.
Yeah, his business guy.
I don't know his name.
Yeah, I forgot his name. I've seen him on some podcasts, but essentially, like, Mr. Beast loves creating content. That's his deal. And then, he's got his business guy who's in charge of basically doing all this stuff that you're talking about, right? So when Beast Burger launches, when
The bars.
these candy bars, whatever, these apps, it's all him doing this. And obviously, Mr. Beast has his own input, but, he's running the day-to-day.
Right.
But what struck me about Mr. Beast is that he's not a finance guy, right? So he has to sell products that are very, different, right? Whereas like you look at guys like us and it's like, yeah, we're selling info. That's really the main 99% of people are going to sell info, their knowledge. Mr. Beast can't sell info. So he has to create like these products that his audience would like. So my question to you is, at scale, right? Because you guys, you got 8 creators right now. You guys are doing well. Is the plan to just limit how many creators you have and try to blow them up? Is it to just acquire more creators, get as many as you can? Is it to stay in the finance niche, or is it to like branch out to getting these huge guys like the Mr. Beasts and stuff where, it's a totally different blueprint at that point?
Yeah, I mean, that'd be nuts to work with someone at that scale. Because I think, the guys that we work with are massive, right? And in the finance space, I guess they, are. But at the grand scheme of it, Mr. Beast, closing in on 100 mil, right? So for us, at the start, I want to build something of good quality, right? Like I don't want to come into a creator, pitch the dream, and then, nothing happens and it affects them, it affects their audience, and that ruins me and my reputation. So at the start, our focus is quality, right? So not working with tons of different creators. Then once we have a proven like business model and build out a team and SOP, everything, and standardize it, I would love to build more of like a consulting wing potentially and start working with more people at a lower, not profit share, right? But more of like, hey, a fixed fee. We will come in, we will build everything. This is exactly what it's going to look like. And then that will hopefully allow us to scale even more so, because being profit share in the market, it's a roller coaster. We have insane months, and then certain guys, it's like, whoa, like the market hits us and we go down. And so that's stressful. It's stressful. And so I'd love to be able to build this company into something that's more stable, more consulting with fixed fees and everything like that. But I'm not there yet. So I don't know how we might get to that point.
Yeah.
So I'd love to hear, some
Yeah. Do you mind
advice.
sharing like kind of what you're making doing this?
So I guess and the money goes in lots of different positions, but like last year we probably brought in around like $600 to $700,000. This
These
year
are just from your profit splits.
just from profit splits. So the creators are making way
Yeah.
more than that. So just from profit splits. Now that obviously that doesn't go all to me.
Right.
And so this year, hoping to stay at that, if not, exceed it. But it's been a lot harder.
Because the market.
Because the market, and also like we've lost clients. Like we are, in order to get these guys, like we sign month-to-month agreements. It's risk-free kind of for them. Like we try and set it up as risk-free as possible, and then we achieve.
Right.
We've had guys backstab us and back out. So then that fluctuates. So that's why it's like it's crazy. It's a roller coaster. So I'd love to get beyond that, build something that's not so stressful.
You can't reveal who backstabbed you, huh?
No, but he is a trader, right? So we all know trader, Forex, all that stuff. And he even told us like after our first month, it went really well. He was like, "Hey guys, I just need to be honest. Like, I was going to take your model and have you build everything and then run." And we're like, "Oh, okay, all right, that's good to know." But he said, "I'm not going to do it. I want to work with you guys." And then after month 3. I don't know if it's a greed thing. Like we make good money, like we do, but we feel like we deliver and we're able to create something that they wouldn't have been able to create anyway.
Right.
And he came to me, and I was working with some other partners in that because I can't do everything. And he said, "Hey man, you and I can just run this whole show. Like let's kick them off." And so I want to be a man of morals and everything. So I said, "No, like I can't do that. Let's renegotiate or something. But I can't just kick those people off, even though I would have made a lot more, and it would have just been him and I." And I don't know if he just didn't like that, but then the next month he shut everything down. And that was one of our largest clients at the time. So I was making like $12K a month just from him, and then poof, gone.
Right.
So that sucks. It's like, and then you have to make it up. And yeah, so that was a whirlwind.
Yeah. No, I think it's definitely a learning lesson. It's one of those things where my businesses, I realized, you start realizing these terms like sticky. How long can you get a customer to do business with you and stuff?
Right.
And there are ways to make customers more sticky. I mean, most people think it's just giving a ton of value, but yeah, that helps. But, in this case, right, if you give all the value and they have no reason to stay because you've already delivered it all and, you haven't even been properly compensated for it all yet because you're like expecting this to be a fruitful long-term deal. Then you kind of end up getting burned just because of human emotion and whatever, right?
Yeah.
And I think when you set proper incentives and structure, it can eliminate those things from happening because like maybe that guy, he does sound like a dirtball, whatever. You can tell me off camera who he is so I don't ever work with him. But I also think had you been on a different type of structure, he wouldn't even been thinking that, right?
Right.
Like if you had signed him to a 1-year deal,
Ooh.
It's like, I'm with these guys for the next year. And if you leave after a year, fine.
That's okay.
We've gotten each an equal exchange of value, and it's been great.
Right.
I'll share with you one idea I had actually before I started the Future Flipper coaching program. So, originally I was like, I forgot who you had mentioned, but I just had a course. I think it was Rob. So all I did was I sold my course. I didn't even promote it hard. I just didn't really care. But eventually I was like, you know what? Like, I want to work with some really high caliber people, teach them how to scale their house flipping business. And so I came up with this idea where I was like, hey, I'm going to create this partnership where I'm going to teach them all my systems, do everything. I'm going to work hand in hand with these people I know who have the chance to scale. And we are going to do a profit split, right? And, I basically said it was going to cap at a certain amount of deals. And so my original idea was like, hey, I'm going to take 25% of their profits. I'm going to build their business for them. And, it'll cap at 50 deals or something, right? Because if I go and build their business for them and then after like 3 deals, they're out. It's like, dude, that wasn't worth my time. Like I made like 10 grand, 20 grand. Like if I'm going to go build your business for you, that's going to make you millions of dollars. Like I need
Give me something more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and so what happened was I said this on Instagram. This was before I had any kind of big following. It was like I had like 10,000 people on Instagram, no YouTube, no TikTok, nothing. But I put it out there and I had like 50 people apply. And I go, okay. And I literally interviewed like 20 people on my own to see like who the potential partners were. And as I finally got through it, you know, there was a few people that I was like, okay, you know, I'm only going to take 5 people on for this. I ended up doing 0 of them. And the reason why was many people were reluctant to give up pieces of their business, especially since they were putting up, you know, all the marketing dollars and all that, right? Like I was coming in as a consultant. But also, too, as I got through the process, I kind of was like, I don't want to do this. I was like, I don't want to deal with these people, like, and be so invested into their business and all this stuff. Like, I was like, I would rather be a coach and be like, here's the information, here's how you do it.
Good luck.
I don't want to babysit you day to day.
And everyone's different.
Yeah.
You know, and each of these creators is different. They act different. They have different levels of emotion. And so, yeah, I hear you. I have a question. So I mean, you've got tons of teams, everything like that. So when you hire your sales reps or people, are these usually from like when it first started or your best people within your brand, or did they come from like sales company where they are trained to be sales reps and then they place them? Because for us, most people come from within that brand.
Yeah.
So I'm curious to see where your guys come from.
As the world starts to go more digital, you need to be aware of which businesses are going to thrive in the future. One of the obvious ones is e-commerce. In fact, last year, e-commerce sales did over $4 trillion globally, and it's continuing to grow. Now, if you're like most people, you probably don't have time to learn a whole new industry and start a new business. But there is another way. You could partner with us at Lunar Ecom. We have over 300 e-commerce stores that we have created and managed for our clients. And the best part is, it's completely passive on their end. The business model is very simple. You cover the cost of creating and running the store. We handle everything else. We pick the products, we handle fulfillment, returns, and customer satisfaction. After all that, we split profits at the end of the month. This means that when you win, we win. If you want to learn more about how it works, you can watch our case study at lunarecom.com. I believe that the e-commerce space is going to continue to explode as the world goes digital. So make sure you're with the right partner who's going to be ahead of those trends. So go schedule a call with my team today at lunarecom.com if you want to learn about how we can start taking your passive income to the moon. Most people want to get rich at all costs. They make sacrifices with their family, their health, and their faith, all in the pursuit of money without even realizing it. But what if I told you it doesn't have to be that way? What if you could grow your wealth in all areas of life? Well, it's possible, and that's why I created The Wealthy Way. It's a community of people striving to grow together in all areas. And we have multiple tools for you to use that are completely free. You can get access to the Wealthy Way Planner, where you can set goals and hold yourself accountable on a daily basis. We also have our Wealth Builder Academy, which is over 4 hours of content teaching you how to manage your time, create the right goals, and all the biggest secrets I've used to grow my life, not only in my net worth, but in all aspects. Lastly, we have our Discord community where thousands of wealth builders are all over the world encouraging one another and growing together. And once again, all of this is completely free. There are no upsells, there are no hidden catches. For me, this is a passion project, and I want to build a community of like-minded people. So if you want to start living the wealthy way today, go to wealthyway.com. There you can get all the free resources like the course, planner, and Discord community. So go to wealthyway.com. So before I answer that question, I want to finish that story. So with that process, I realized I did not want to be like so hand in hand. So it made me create what is now my high ticket coaching program, Future Flipper All-Star program. You know, now we have 150 plus students in it. And so it's like, it led me to figuring out what I wanted to do. And so I was happy I did it. And what's funny is so many of those people that I interviewed ended up becoming students in that, or investors, or partners in other things. So it worked out. But for sales reps, I'll say sales reps are, people don't realize how valuable they are with like whether they make or break revenues. I didn't realize this until years later after Home Run Offer, because I'm naturally a good sales guy. I was like, dude, just freaking close them. What are we talking about here, right? Like, why would you say, and then I would listen to their calls, like, why would you say that? That was so bad, you know? But then I realized, just like with anything, it takes training. And so we went through many different sales reps in all my various companies to kind of figure out now what works. And so I don't know if you know this, but I actually have a parent company, which is kind of like my shared resources. So we have HR, we have a sales manager, marketing manager, operations manager, tax, legal, everything, social media. And so all my companies tap into that to do stuff. So like what's really happening for my sales guys now is my sales manager is constantly interviewing and hiring and training new people, and then he's placing them in my various companies. But I will say our best sales reps have come from already being trained. They have already been trained by these different programs. There's a ton of them out there. And we've even paid, I mean, I've paid 30 grand to, who did we pay it to? Cole
Grant
Gordon.
Cardone. Oh,
No.
yeah, cool.
Yeah. Actually, yeah, I've done Cardone's too. I paid Cardone, this was like years ago before I knew what I was doing, but I paid Cardone, you know, like 7-8 grand for Cardone U. But no, Cole was great. Cole actually helped us out a ton. And that was 30 grand well spent. It included training our current staff while also giving us new staff, placing them. So I actually do really like hiring guys like Cole to do it for us because they're really good. But it's a blend. We still do our own as well.
Got it. Interesting. Yeah, because we're getting to that point where we had different creators with different models, right? Some high ticket, some low ticket, some in between, like lots of stuff. And it was like, you know, the high ticket is where
You need a
I
good
wanna
closer.
be. Yeah, and you have to have good talent.
Yeah, you can't, you know, an idiot can go sell a $50, $100 product. But, you know, you're going to get somebody to shell out $20,000, $30,000. Your closer needs to be good.
Yeah. Yeah. And so I guess another question, you know, for you, like you see kind of everything that we're doing. What do you think that's something that we're doing something that you know, would change, you know, or improve on, you know, how we're handling our business?
So the first thing I mentioned was I would make all these guys sign at least 6-month deals.
Yep.
For sure. I would not be building out somebody's deal on a month-to-month basis, especially with no retainer.
Right.
Which, speaking of that, the second thing is you could start charging a retainer. You know, you're talking about not having stable cash flows. Well, instead of seeking a new client, trying to get them to do this one where you're getting stable cash, just create a different model where it's like, hey, you know what? You know, you're going to pay us $5 grand a month, and instead of taking 20%, we're going to take 15%, 10%, whatever, right? You know, and you have a bigger track record now, so there's no reason why you can't charge more. You don't have to do what you did to get your first few clients anymore.
Yeah.
So I would definitely think about doing that. And then the other question I posed to you earlier was, like, how do you envision scaling? Because the way I see it is there's only so many famous YouTubers in the finance space. Like, how many of them have you not already hit up?
Yeah.
Like, you've probably hit up everybody, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, what are you going to do
next
to get the next client?
Yeah. Well, I think it's like, I don't know, you know, and that's where I think like having something, you know, like we were talking about Mr. Beast and lower ticket that you can, it's not, because everything's a finance product, right? We're teaching people how to trade or how to invest in crypto and everything like that. So what's something, I guess, like education, right? That, you know, I guess you would do the same model for, you could do it for fitness, right? You could do it for, you know, health, or anyone could build a course. So that will probably be it, is like, once we branch outside of finance, you know, just going purely like the course business. But
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, I think, look, developing a niche is great. And I think, you know, until you guys are at the multi-million-dollar a year mark, you shouldn't be worrying about the other things yet.
Yeah.
I would be really just growing these other
Right.
guys huge and, making sure too, you're picking the right horses.
Yeah. Yeah. Because like from that, I mean, that's still ingrained. I'm scared that just next month, poof, all gone. And I'll be walking, back to Fidelity, coming right in. But
No, I mean, look, and this is what I tell all my employees and everything else. Like, for me, they know, like, if they do a good job and all this stuff, like, I don't renegotiate.
Mhm.
Like, could I go and fire one of them and find somebody else to take their seat? Absolutely, sure. Like, nobody's indispensable. Like, even myself, I'm not even indispensable. Like, my companies could run without me. So, the reality is the reason that they feel safe, that their job is secure, that they're going to keep making good money is because of the environment that we have. And like, I guess just they trust my character as a boss and all that. And it's true. Like, I value loyalty and the fact that I can sleep at night knowing that this guy's not going to be interviewing with other jobs, trying to make sure he's got his next gig lined up or whatever. Like, he's good. He's loyal. And he doesn't have to worry that I'm like looking for his replacement because he's making too much money.
Right.
And so like you've been in those situations already where you yourself were looking for the next opportunity and they themselves were looking at how to replace you. It's like, yep, that ain't gonna last.
Right. Yeah. I have a question, and I think, viewers, this might help. Like, do you think anybody can be a sales rep, right? Do you think anyone can be taught to teach or to sell, high ticket, or no, it's actually very, very hard for someone to go and be successful, in high ticket sales? Because I generally think, like, for a lot of people who are so interested in breaking out of just kind of like the corporate structure, they want to make money, but it's like they're not going to go and they're not going to post like 100 TikToks, a week and go viral, but they're looking for something else.
Yeah. So I think I've been asked this many times. My buddy Steve Trang, who is a professional sales trainer, would tell you that anybody can become, a good salesperson, which I say I would probably agree with that. Yeah, you can become decent, good, but definitely not great. I think that the great salespeople are natural at their ability to sell. And that's with any position. It's not just sales, right? Like, I've talked a lot about hiring on this show, but we have a pretty big hiring process, right? We look at their personality types. We look at their experience. We look at how hungry are they, all these different factors, right? And they all play a role in how successful they'll be in that particular role because you need a different personality for every different role. If I got a detail-oriented person, they're probably going to be very good at administrative tasks, those types of things. If I have a guy who likes to talk and who's very charismatic and whatever, like, they're probably going to be pretty good at sales, right? But you swap those guys and that guy has to go crunch numbers, he's probably not going to be good.
Right.
You go put the detail-oriented person on the phone, they're probably not going to be good. And so your personality and your ceiling will 100% play a role, I actually heard Tim Tebow talk about this one time. He was saying, like, yeah, I actually don't like when people say you can do whatever you want. He's like, because it's just not true. He's like, you can't do whatever you want.
Yeah.
He's like, you can do, but what you can do is everything to the best of your God-given ability.
Right.
And we all have our own natural abilities that God has blessed us with. And whatever that is, you can try and reach the ceiling. And so your ceiling as a sales rep is going to be wherever your natural ability is. And it's going to take you a long time to get there depending on how much you actually enjoy doing it.
Yeah, no, I 100% agree with all that. Because for me, a lot of I was passionate about what I'm doing, and I was able to create my own schedule and create kind of my own income for that. And so when I was able to put all those things together, like, this isn't something that I just didn't want to do. Like, I love the sales calls. I like, talking to people. So I definitely agree, passion. But also, yeah, I can't do a lot of stuff. You mentioned something. You said how hungry they are. How do you gauge How do you tell how hungry someone actually is?
Man, you can measure hunger in a number of ways. But what I'll say too with hunger is, if you were to give me the guy who was naturally talented at sales but not hungry versus the guy who was like maybe not as naturally talented but super hungry,
Right.
the hungry guy's going to win.
Yeah.
100% of the time. But that being said, how do we determine hunger? I mean, I've looked at it in multiple ways. Like, you can just look at them and tell, like, just from their energy and like what they're bringing to the table. I've met many people who have followed up really well. You know, we don't hire them or something. They just constantly following up. You know, they're hungry. They want to work for us. So there's a lot of things you can look for with hunger. But like, if you start hearing the things that show maybe they're content or they're lazy or whatever, yeah, you know, I don't know, I might want to work here. You know, I'm just kind of testing the waters to see. Or you start hearing things where they're like, yeah, you know, I'm looking at this as kind of like a stepping stone to something else.
Right.
I ain't hiring them.
Yeah. Yeah. Who would?
Many people would. A lot of people do hire those people.
I think follow up. You said follow up. Like, for me, you know, in whether it's in sales, whether it's in, you know, life, like the money and just is everything in the follow up. And some of the people that we work with, or whether you're following up for your, you know, after an interview or something for your job, or you know, even for, you know, college, like admissions and everything like that. Like, people who follow up will always be able to set themselves apart from one and done.
Well, and the other thing is too, like, good salespeople don't take no for an answer, right? Like, you're constantly getting rejected. And so, you know, if people ever tell me like Ryan, like, that can't be done, I'm like, oh yeah, really? Like, have you thought about this way of doing it, or this way of doing it, or this way of doing it? Okay, he doesn't have the money. Well, have you thought about asking this person? Have you ever thought about doing this? Like, how bad do you want to be in this? Like, right? You know, we're negotiating with the seller. Oh, I can't sell because so-and-so. Can I talk to so-and-so? Right? That's what good salespeople do. But, you know, most people just don't think like that. Right? And that stuff can be taught, but like, at the end of the day, that just comes down to hunger.
Yeah.
Like, I want that deal.
Right.
And I'm going to do whatever it takes to get that deal done.
Until they shut the door in your face, or is there?
Then I'm going to follow up the next day. If I believe that like that person can be closed, I'm going to figure out a way to get it done. But if like I can tell they're not worth pursuing, like, all right, peace.
Yeah. Well, I think that's a skill, right? Is knowing like how much to push, you know, when to then actually, like, you know, not
back off and, you know, not waste your time. Because there will be sales reps who sit there for an hour with somebody.
I used to do that.
Yeah. It's just like, dude, this person's just being nice to you, but they're never going to buy. Like, you have to learn to identify those people quickly, because that's costing you money.
Yeah. And I mean, when I was on the phones with Jeremy, like, I'd follow up with people nonstop, you know, forever, but they weren't those people, right? Because I didn't know, you know, well enough to do that.
There's so much that goes into sales. And it's funny, then you start niching salespeople. So like, for me, at this point in my life, am very impatient and one and done. Like, if I don't close you, you're dead to me.
Yeah.
You know, like, we're not talking again, you know, for whatever, right? Just because I'm just on to the next thing.
Right.
And in my mind, I'm like, well, that's your problem. You're missing out on an opportunity that would have benefited you. I'm not going to tell you about it. Like, I'm out. And that actually is not good on me anymore. But it's just kind of like the personality that I've developed now to where I'm at. Whereas like good salespeople understand, like, hey, this person's not ready today, but I know they are going to buy at some point. I need to continue to follow up. That ain't me. But you need those people.
Yeah, the one call closers versus, you know.
That's me, dude. And I'm pretty good at it too. And
I would not want to be on the other line. I would be like, yep, here's my credit card, you know.
Well,
let's go.
And so for me too, the one call close is different because it's coming from me.
Yeah.
And so if the prospect knows me,
they're
like, oh, dude, like Ryan's talking. I'm like, yeah, let's do this.
Right.
And you're like, okay. And then, you know, my sales guys watch it. They're like, that's not even a real close. Like, you can't even.
Yeah.
That can't be replicated. Like, just go buy it.
Yeah. Do you still hop on calls now?
No.
Do you miss it?
No.
No.
I spend most of my time doing this, and
Yeah.
thinking of new ideas and stuff. But no, I don't. I haven't hopped on calls in a long, long time. There will be times where the sales guys will be like, Ryan, you know, this person, like they really want to buy or whatever. And, you know, can you just send them a video? And so I'll just do like a 1-minute video. And that's a good tip for your clients.
Yeah.
Hey, it's Ryan, you know, look, like, I just want you to know, like, this program's changed a lot of people's lives. It's changed so many, like, just get in.
Yeah.
But it's still the one call close. I'm
Right.
like, just do it.
Just do it. Yeah. No, I mean, little things like that can make a huge difference. And I remember, like, when I was, you know, closing for Jeremy, right? I actually had never talked to Jeremy ever, even after like 4 months working there. I had never had any conversation with anything. I was just there to close deals for him, and it was awesome. And I got a voice note or a FaceTime, you know, from him, just thanking and, you know, introducing himself and, you know, having that conversation. And that meant so much to me because I was like, wow, like, this is a guy that I had always looked up to, you know, big, you know, YouTuber, big, all that. And so, like, those videos can really make a difference.
100%. Well, Ben, dude, it's been great meeting you, man. I think what you're doing is great. I think it's an awesome business model. And I'm curious also to see where it scales. I'm really interested to watch it. And since I know so many of the people you're working with, I'll be keeping tabs. And I just think it's a great idea for those watching to, like, figure out how you can help other people. Like, you don't have to be the guy on the camera and all that. So
Behind the scenes.
Yep. So we'll link to Ben's stuff down below if you guys want to get in touch with him. Other than that, make sure you leave a 5-star review, and we'll catch you on the next one. Peace.
Thanks for watching The Ryan Pineda Show. If you want to work with me, head over to ryanpineda.com. You can find my courses, coaching programs, and upcoming events. We also have free resources you can download, so head over to ryanpineda.com.